Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-8888-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. Barry the boater, Mike the mariner, rounding out the crew as we navigate the latest boating news and information. Okay, the Florida Boating Safety Act. Or no, what is it called again, Barry? What is this?
We said this 5 times.
I know. What is it again? What is
Boater
it?
Freedom Act.
Boating Freedom Act. We're going to discuss
Freedom
this.
Act.
It's been proposed,
free boats.
yeah, by Florida legislature or Senate. And Governor Ron DeSantis. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But first, we got to talk about this viral video with the crew of the charter captain who boarded this other boat because he was angry with what he thought was someone he had seen earlier in the morning when they were out fishing in Punta Gorda, Florida.
Yeah, what did he board it all about?
Well, he was upset because I guess early in the morning when it was still dark, he came cruising through some area like under a bridge or something where these kids, younger kids compared to him, I think they were in their low 20s or something, as from what I saw, or maybe even younger than that. I don't know, but he came speeding through an area where they were fishing, and they were pretty upset about it. From the standpoint of like, hey, whether they were creating a wake or they thought he was in a no speed zone, who knows? And they started yelling at him, saying, hey, you're number one, that kind of thing. Yeah. Boat rage on the water, and he had this encounter, this charter captain had this encounter with these kids in the morning. And I guess he had held a grudge because later that afternoon, one of the kids was out there fishing by himself on a boat. And, he came up to the kid and said, hey, why were you saying I was number one earlier and yelling at me and I didn't do anything wrong? And he was furious and he was he was going to make an example out of this kid. And the kid had a video going, recorded the whole thing. And at first they were both, kind of bickering back and forth like, hey, it wasn't me. It was, I was with those guys, but that wasn't me who, said this to you or called you this or that or whatever. And, and the charter captain was pretty adamant that, oh, no, I know it was you. I can't even say any of the words. It's hilarious.
You have to beep yourself out.
Yeah, typical, road rage on the water kind of thing. And but the kicker was, if it would have stopped right then, I don't think this would have been a story. But the charter captain cruised up next to him, hopped on board the kid's boat, and acted like he was going to beat the crap out of him. And you see the kid just like, I'm sorry, don't hit me. He's freaking out as you would expect. And he thought he was about to be kicked off his boat, and he claims he was close to jumping off the boat himself just to save himself. And it finally the guy got off after he screamed at him, and the kid profusely apologized, but it got pretty heated. When you watch the video, you feel for the kid, especially when you think he claims that wasn't him. He was around the area, but it wasn't him that called the charter captain this name, that name, or whatever. It was some other guys that were right next to him. And he took the brunt of the abuse. And, since he videotaped it, he released the video. And, the guy's been charged now with assault and battery or burglary, which I'm not sure I get that one. But
he boarded his vessel.
Yeah.
That is burglary.
That's burglary right there. Huh?
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's a liveaboard boat or not, you cannot board someone else's boat uninvited.
Yes. Well, that would seem like common sense to anybody watching that video. That he definitely, something needed to be should happen to the guy, and it's gonna. He's out on bail. He has been arrested. I guess he's going to be arraigned on like May 4th or 5th or something like that, and we'll see what happens. But boy, this thing went super viral. All mainstream media picked it up. On the other side of the coin, I kind of feel a little bit bad for the guy. I mean,
Why?
I don't.
Well,
I don't feel bad for him at all.
I guess, I mean, just the fact that, did he overreact? Absolutely. And should he have, be in big trouble? Yes.
Well, from the very beginning, he overreacted.
Yes.
I mean, you watch the video from the very beginning. I mean, okay, I've been in situations where I've seen someone do something stupid or dangerous on a boat, and I've said something, but then I move on.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And this guy took it way, way too far.
Oh, way too far. Right.
Intimidating. And then when he boarded the guy's vessel, man. That took it to a whole new level. That took it to a felony.
Well, it definitely was way beyond the pale for sure. And if the kid had not videotaped it, I mean, you're right. Maybe this wouldn't have gone anywhere. But the fact that he got it on tape, I mean, this guy's in big trouble. But it's went super viral, so his life has been ruined. And that's where
his life, he ruined his own life.
Well, I agree. I mean, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, the fact that, no matter how this works out on the legal side of things, now that he's been arrested, they're talking about he may lose his charter license and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that's not warranted. I'm just saying the public shaming that has taken place for this guy is on a level that I don't think we've ever seen before, which is probably good. I mean, it's kind of like, self-regulating, hopefully, in that regard. But
if he didn't have a video, it would have been his word against the kid's word, and then nothing would have been resolved.
But if that kid would have had a gun, and I've seen the reports, people say that he could have shot the guy, and it would have been perfectly legal to do so. You think?
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. Someone boards your vessel, and
there's even more to that.
How so, Barry? What do you think?
I was reading through maritime law, and it says that boarding a ship, now they say ship, without permission of the captain or officer or crew member, is in violation of international maritime law.
Yeah.
At the very minimum, the individual boarding the vessel without permission may be considered a stowaway, but in many countries doing so qualifies as piracy, and the guilty party may be subject to fines as well as imprisonment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's out on the water. Does maritime law, does it kick in anywhere on the water, or do you have to be out?
Well, I saw some reporting talking about like Florida stand your ground laws, whether that applied in this particular case. They were in state waters, from what I understand, and that may have been the case. And was he under physical threat? Sure looked like it on the video.
And he was backing up. I mean, he was backed up all he could be.
Right.
And this guy was just raging on. Now, if he did it over this, who knows what type of anger issue he would have with other people, with other things.
Yeah.
Now, that was not professional.
Right. Well, of course not. And, I think, he's feeling it publicly with the shaming that's happened online for sure. And the public is obviously up in arms about this. It'll be interesting to see how it plays. But like I said, with that kind of public shaming, will that be good, overall to kind of everybody, let's bring down the temperature a little bit on this kind of stuff. And if it would have stopped where they were just bitching at each other from their boat, would have been a non-issue. It was that fine line was when he jumped on the kid's boat. That's where we crossed a line, and it got way, way out of control. You think that's what happened there, Mike? Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, these things actually do happen fairly often, more often than people think.
Yeah.
You get to a boat ramp somewhere, people have been out all day, and they've probably been partying like they shouldn't be when they're operating.
Well, that's fun to watch if you're not the ones arguing.
It is, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a lesson for everybody. Just to cooler heads should prevail.
Right.
And this guy, clearly has anger issues from the very beginning. The things he was saying and repeating himself over and over and over again, and the kids saying, "Hey, there were more than one boat here. That the boat that you're talking about wasn't mine. That wasn't me sitting there.
Yeah.
It was another boat." And this guy was having none of that.
Yeah.
And
he was like, "Hey, I saw what happened. You did it, and I'm coming to get you." And guess what? It looks like people are coming to get him on top of Florida law enforcement. All right, more coming up on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Batten down the hatches. Aye, aye, sir. Man the bowsprit, stow the mizzenmast, jibe the jib boom, hoist the mainsail and lower the tattersail. Look sharp, lad. Pike the starboard, hatch the leeward, thwarts and trim the scuppers of the port poop deck.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, first mate, Mike the Mariner, Barry the boat around and out the crew as we navigate the latest boating news and information and kind of just work through this boat rage incident with this charter captain. He, by the way, he was charged with a felony of burglary, and what was the other one? What was the other charge? Because there was two, I think I remember seeing.
Yeah,
and,
there might have been. I'll try to look it up, but there might have been a menacing thing.
Assault.
Assault.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
which is kind of interesting because in the video, that did kind of throw me just a little bit. I don't see where he did not touch the kid. He got real close to him, but he got on his boat. I don't know what the rules are for assault. I would think that'd have to be physical contact, but maybe just the fact that he came on the kid's boat. They figured that was enough. Yeah, and the threat.
Yeah,
I don't know
possibly,
what the
and maybe
legalese is.
Here we go. An assault is an intentional, unlawful threat by word or act to do violence to the person or another, coupled with an apparent ability to do so.
All right.
So
well, there
he
you
jumped
go.
on his boat.
Yep.
He threatened him. I mean, that's assault.
All right. Well, I'd say that's pretty clear. He definitely.
Plus, they were on
him.
salt water, so that's assault.
Okay.
Salt water. Assault on salt
Just for the
water.
record, Barry the Boater is not a legal.
No, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express one time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And he doesn't even play a lawyer on the radio.
No.
But, for what it's worth. But yeah, I don't know. He's going to get whacked with something, as he should. But man,
whacked.
Well, I mean, but just the peer pressure, just the viral video elements of this thing. I mean, it's insane how viral this video has went. And I mean, it's warranted. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, everybody's going to know this guy for eternity. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
He may get more business.
Well, that would be the sad part of the situation for sure.
It's
but
Florida, man.
Yeah.
Well, there was some discussion about the fact that he actually brought it up in the video, right? So he was
Yeah.
talking about the fact that he was a
Military guy or ex-military, yeah.
former military, which is
Right.
great. Thank you for your service.
Yep, absolutely.
But-
and the kid even
but
said that, by the way, in the video,
Yeah.
trying to diffuse the situation. He goes, "It wasn't
Yeah.
me," and "Thank you for your service." And then you could see him scrambling, trying to bring the level of heat down on him in
Yeah.
that video. It's
But
kind of
that's
interesting.
not. I mean, that's not an excuse, and
No,
it's not.
of course not.
It's not a valid reason to be able to do that to somebody. So,
Right.
hopefully, he'll go get some anger management. I'm sure that'll probably be within the scope of whatever.
Yeah,
happens
sentencing
to
he
him.
gets from this mess. Yeah.
and I hope I hope he's learned a lesson from it
Well-
and never does it again.
Yeah, I think he had put out he's put out a statement, I think through his lawyer, saying he appreciated how the kid handled it. So he did apologize from what I saw.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's why I said, I mean, the charter captain, I'm not defending him by any stretch. Don't get me
But you
wrong.
keep
He's
defending him.
Well, no, he deserves everything that's coming to him. But my God, the fact that this thing has went so viral and he's been
Well, that's
publicly
video.
shamed like,
Yeah.
like I've never seen before. I mean, that's a pretty serious punishment right there, if you ask me. I mean, not that
Yeah.
he shouldn't have more. Don't get me wrong. Once again, I'm not defending him. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, this
You
is
just
played
feel
out.
public shaming isn't the best thing in the world.
Well,
Well,
yeah, that's pretty serious stuff. It's going to scar him for the rest of his life.
There's
I
a
think.
there's a sheriff that does that somewhere in Middle Florida. He puts billboards up of people to publicly shame them.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one form of punishment. There ain't no
yeah,
doubt about
Chipwood does
that.
it, and I think the Grady Judd.
Yeah,
down in
he
Polk
does that.
County,
Yeah.
he's kind of a rock star on that. But this is very similar to an incident that happened with two cyclists, or actually one cyclist and a kid that was skateboarding. Very similar situation. The kid did not do anything wrong. He gave the cyclist a very wide berth as he drove by him in his car, and then he parked in a parking lot. And this cyclist, older gentleman, came over and started yelling at him. Very, very similar parallel.
Mhm.
And the kid recorded it. And the cyclist ended up having to go to court to pay a fine for assault and false imprisonment and a couple of other things because he wouldn't let the kid leave.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
and then the video clearly showed that what the guy was yelling at didn't occur.
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
yeah.
Well, like I said, it's a tragic situation, but I mean, I don't know how much freedom we have on our vote on our boat as the captain. I mean, you're the captain, so whatever you do kind of goes. And if someone invades that space, I mean, burglary was what he was charged with too,
Yeah.
which seemed odd to me, but I guess that's what they would charge you with if
I could find that out also.
somebody can
Yeah.
if they just come on your boat without permission, it's automatic burglary. Is that how it works, Mike? Or
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're burglarizing a boat. I mean, and it's a boat like mine, which you could live on, is actually a domicile, so it's
Yeah.
considered a home. So there are probably even some additional elements to the law
right?
in that regard.
Yeah,
But,
but like your boat, you have a big bow, so if someone jumps on your bow, it's automatic burglary, or do they gotta
Mhm.
All right, so
penetrate
here
the
you go.
inner workings of the boat to become a burglary? I guess that's
No,
where
they board the
I-
boat. They
yeah,
cannot
that's
board
it.
the boat.
that's the
period.
line,
You
huh? That's
cannot-
the
you
front
cannot-
door. Okay.
Florida statutes, section 810.02. It's unlawful to enter a dwelling structure or conveyance. A boat is a conveyance, or remaining in such places forget that word, with the intent to commit a crime inside. So the burglary is when he jumped on the boat, and the assault is when he threatened him.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. You think
Now,
that's
I was
enough?
reading something is
Go on.
that they say, I was thinking about your boat, and they say that most of the leases that boaters, when they dock their boats in those places, have a clause that allows the employer or employees to climb on the boat to move the boat if necessary.
Ah,
Absolutely, and that's totally normal.
permissible burglars.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's an
it's-
agreement. That's an agreement. You're giving permission to the employees of the marina to board your boat to effectively manage the marina. They might have to move the boat like and here's an instance, like after the hurricanes and the water's rising, some of the owners of these boats aren't here, and we have covered slips here. As the water rises, some of the taller boats like mine have to move to an uncovered slip, and some of the owners aren't here. So the marina has to have the ability to take your boat and move it to another slip.
So you're not going to be a boat burglar in
that is not burglary.
instance.
No, that's an agreement that you actually sign with your lease that allows employees.
It's
to,
like the Hamburglar. Yeah, we like
Oh.
certain burglars if they come with free hamburgers or they're trying to save your vessel.
Yeah.
No.
Incidentally, there are 3 degrees of felony.
Yeah. Spit it
There are
out,
3
Barry.
degrees of I can't. 3 degrees of felony. He would probably be charged if he was charged with a felony. It was probably 3rd degree, 5 years in prison or $5,000 and a $5 fine or probation.
Wow.
So that's what he's looking
That
at.
ain't good. We'll see where it goes. All right, more coming up on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
You have successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Guys, we have a situation. I broke the bathroom.
How the heck did you manage to do that?
We ran out of TP, so I had to use my shirt.
Ew.
Well, long story short, turns out that pipes on the boat are not BPT compatible.
It can handle tidal waves that the stories talk about.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. Barry the boater, Mike the mariner, rounding out the crew. All right, so we'll find out, early May, what happens to that boat charter captain who boarded the kids' boat, and find out what they end up, doing. I mean, he's put out he's actually thanked the kid for handling the incident better than he did, and it came out through his lawyer, which I'm sure he would love to get a fine and probation. And it'll be interesting to see what they do, if they try to exactly throw the book at him and make an example of him, or give him, typically what would happen. But because this has gotten so much publicity and the videos went so viral, I think it might be hard for him to let him off with a slap on the wrist on this, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know.
They could give him probation, withhold adjudication, and just charge, have him pay a fine or maybe a donation to FWC or something like that, or a boating safety course.
We will see. We will see. Or
We'll see.
will they need to make a example
No,
of it?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? That's you feel the same way, Mike?
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike? That's your prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he's a first-time offender, he probably won't get jail time. He'll probably get a fine. He'll probably have to do a public apology, and he'll probably have some community service and things like that.
Right.
His captain's license is probably in jeopardy.
Right. I would say so. Maybe.
And his business license.
Well,
I
again,
don't know.
if they withhold adjudication, then he won't have an actual felony conviction on his record.
So says
that's
Barry the
something-
lawyer.
So, well, let's
The
just
views
say that
expressed on the world of boating are not those
not
of any
indicative.
sane human
But
being.
if you stay at a Holiday Inn Express, you do become smarter.
Okay. Well, Barry is a boater and plays a lawyer on the radio every now
I
and then.
think he might be asking for a retainer, right?
Yeah,
Is that-
yeah. And I'm
Well,
going
I
to give
don't need
him.
a retainer. My teeth are straight enough.
I was going to say I could ship mine in the mail to you. I
You
don't know
still
if
have
it'll
your
fit.
retainer from when you were a kid?
Yummy. Anywho, moving on to less gross stuff.
Yeah.
The Boater Freedom Act
Yes.
in Florida has been released the last, I don't know, week or two. It's been out a little while now. But I saw a report on it. It was interesting because we were just speaking about this a couple of weeks on the World of Boating about improper, inspections of boats and safety inspections where FWC coming up to boaters, checking, make sure you have your life vests and your boat's up to snuff and stuff like that. We're talking about the pros and cons of it and how some boaters are getting a little aggravated by being slowed down on their weekend outing by an inspection and the people that are doing it right, they're getting a little annoyed because it takes time away from their boating time when they have to sit there and kiss the butt of officers just pulling them over for a safety inspection.
And there was another part of that we had discussed a few weeks back, and maybe even further, and it had to do with people that live on the hook, which is living off of their boat on an anchor somewhere in Biscayne Bay, maybe too close to someone else's mega mansion and, making it an eyesore. So they were complaining to the commissioners here of trying to find, legal ways to get these people out of there.
Right.
And they were sending their own local, like Miami-Dade water police and stuff like that to inspect these boats, board these boats, find them if they didn't think that their marine sanitation devices were properly locked down.
Well, they were using that as an excuse
to
just
get
clean
on the
up
boat.
their view.
Right. But I'm
Yeah.
saying that's what they were using the police for.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been boarded, several times over the years, and normally it's an amicable situation,
Sure.
no issues. But I will tell you, on 2 or 3 of those occasions, I got boarded when I was on my way somewhere and wanted to get back, and we wanted to end our day, or
Yeah, you're in a hurry.
things like that.
Right.
And it takes 30 minutes, right?
Mhm.
And then they check all your gear. They check to make sure that you have all the required safety, which is fine.
They're doing their
But-
job. Yeah, you
but-
don't want
but
to
I
piss them
wasn't-
off because then you could
Right.
potentially get in trouble if they find some little minor thing that they want to make
Right.
into a bigger thing, right?
But here's the part that always kind of got me in the craw. I was not operating the vessel in a dangerous way. I was I wasn't doing anything wrong, no speeding, nothing like that, and they pulled me over.
Right.
To me, that's an overreach.
Yeah.
So with this new law that's coming out, I'm in favor of it for that reason, because I feel like if you're not doing anything that shows probable cause for being pulled over, like speeding or operating the vessel in a weird way, I'm
Yeah.
just I'm
Well,
just not for
Right.
that.
And right now it's just in the bill phase. I think it passed the Senate from what I understand, and it still has to work through the House or in Florida, and then it will go to Governor DeSantis's desk, and he is behind this as well. So, yeah, but being able to pull your boat over for just a random safety inspection or, safety check or whatever without probable cause, that being the key line.
Well, that's
would-
what they're
would eliminate
eliminating it.
Yeah, that's what they
they're
hope to
saying-
eliminate. And so I mean, as we spoke about this before, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, Florida Wildlife Commission, when they're doing these safety stops and they're trying to find people that could be doing things wrong, that's okay. Or should they be out there cruising the waterways looking for people that are already doing stuff wrong?
And
that they could get.
then
And
stop.
that's-
And that's what they're going to do with this. This will be a secondary offense. Let's say you're speeding in a slow zone. They could pull you over for that. And then they say, while we have you here, we're going to check and see if you have your safety equipment.
Yeah.
So it'll be a secondary. It's the same as when they first required car seats for for babies, it was a secondary offense if you didn't have the kid, properly strapped in there. So, a cop couldn't just pull you over and say, hey, you don't have your kid strapped in there. You would have to be doing something else first.
Yeah.
And then they could look inside and see it. What's strange is they also added one other thing to this bill, and it's called the Watercraft Energy Source Freedom Act.
Right.
And basically what they say is it'll be a prohibition prohibiting the I can't talk, the restrictions based on energy source, notwithstanding any other law or to the contrary. A state agency, municipality, government entity, or county may not restrict the use or sale of a watercraft based on its energy source used to power the watercraft. So there are numerous lakes in Florida where there'll be signs that say electric boats only, or paddle boats. You cannot use a gas-powered boat.
Yeah, we have that. There's one real close to where I live.
Well, does it say does it say motorized or does it say no gas? Because that's a different, allowing paddle boards and no motorized vehicles, whether it's gas or electric, is one thing. But what they're trying to say is like a lake or a municipality or city can't say only electric boats are allowed on this waterway. And that's what this boating act is supposed to stop.
It's supposed to eliminate. So in South Florida, there are certain lakes that are just, I guess maybe because they're sort of enclosed and they don't have that much flow in them, they specifically say that no gas-powered boats. And I could take a picture of it and send it to you, that sign.
Yeah.
They will not be able to restrict that anymore. So if you want to take your wave runner out on a little lake, you could do it.
Right. And what's the downside?
Unless it's a private lake.
Private lake would be a different animal, I think.
Yeah,
I guess.
Would be,
but we'll continue to talk about this. This is an interesting little element to the Boater Freedom Act in Florida. We're talking more about it next. Stay close to the world of boating.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network. Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
We now return to Night Boat, the crime-solving boat.
Faster, Night Boat. We've got to catch those starfish poachers.
You don't have to yell, Michael. I'm all around you. Oh no, they're headed for land.
We'll never catch them now.
Incorrect. Look, a canal.
Oh, Night Boat, go!
Oh, every week there's a canal. Or an inlet. Or a fjord.
Quiet! I will not hear another word against the boat.
I was young, I was dry, but to sail I would go. 1 hour on the water, I was soaked down below. Though I tried, I couldn't hide from my mother's piercing view. But all she would say was, a big boy like you. Wet before, wet behind, we're the members of the Wet Pants Club.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. That is me, along with Mike the Mariner and Barry the Boater. Okay, we're talking about the newly announced Florida Freedom,
right.
or Boater Freedom Act. Yeah. Boater Freedom Act in Florida.
Boater Freedom Act.
All right. And I think, the first part about not being able to board your boat without probable cause, I think from what I see online, most people will agree with that philosophy. Like, yeah, okay. Well, what are you laughing?
Yeah. No, it's just the way. You're right. Huh? In some ways, people would believe that. But you have law enforcement versus some fishermen with an attitude.
Well, I mean, that guy's just lucky that, there was a kid that didn't have any
firearms,
defensive weapons. Yeah.
No. You guys I think you're talking about two different stories. I'm talking about the Florida Boater Freedom Act.
Yeah.
Well, that you can't board a boat without probable cause for Florida Wildlife Commission.
Oh, you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about that story. So that part of this act, I think, from what I see online, most people like, okay, that makes sense. We probably shouldn't have them, doing these safety checks without probable cause. Most, I think, boaters like it, and it'll, cause Florida Wildlife Commission to focus more on policing problem boaters. However, the second part of this, with the fuel source issue,
that's called the Watercraft Energy Source Freedom Act.
No, it's not. It's part of the same act.
Yeah, but no, this is the short title of this section is called the Water.
Okay, I got
Energy
you. It's part
Source
of the
Freedom
same
Act.
bill.
If you had read the bill, you would see that.
Okay, but that part of it is causing some environmental groups to come out against the act overall because,
of course,
they're a little upset that they think it cause a problem, and I think. And maybe you say you've read the whole thing. I kind of glanced over it
It's
as well.
short. It's half a page.
Yeah. But I think the purpose of what they're trying to do, with saying you can't outlaw gas-powered or combustion engines, is that they don't want to create a situation where, okay, you can only have electric boats on this waterway. Because an electric boat can create just as much environmental damage as a gas-powered boat. You're just talking about the fuel source. Yes, of course.
Wait. How do you figure that?
Well, think about all the different.
What?
I mean,
Yeah.
So
What?
think about this.
Okay.
An electric boat or a gas-powered boat can cause the same damage to seagrasses.
Exactly.
And things like
Seagrasses.
Yeah.
But that's not.
What do you
and
mean
people
that's
can
not
throw
what
things
the deal
overboard,
is?
They can litter.
It says energy source. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with tearing up seagrasses or a propeller doing that. You could do that with anything. It says specifically, notwithstanding any other law to the contrary, a state agency, municipality, government entity, or county may not restrict the use or sale of a watercraft based on the energy source used to power the watercraft, including an energy source used for propulsion or used for powering other functions of the watercraft.
Okay.
So that means that you can use, you won't be able to deny the watercraft if it uses gasoline, diesel fuel, electricity, hydrogen, or solar power. So
Right.
basically, it's whatever energy you want to use on that boat, whatever lake, canal, fjord that you want to have that boat on, you cannot restrict that use anymore.
I think that's what I said.
But is that based on? I mean, but there are certain waterways or certain sections of waterways or certain lakes that may restrict.
If it's a public lake,
Well,
or a public
motorized
waterway-
versus non-motorized, yes, but you can't. The act is trying to set a precedent that a city or an area that oversees a waterway can't say, hey, you can't sell any fuel in this lake because we don't want any gas-powered or combustible type engines. We want only electric.
Right.
And that's where you get in. I think what they're trying to avoid, or what the act is trying to address, is allowing municipalities or local governments to come in and make these rules and just basically block out combustion engines for I don't know.
Well,
I mean, maybe Green New Deal kind of stuff or whatever, or environmental elements like that. And even though, like you said, it doesn't matter if the boat is powered by electric or gas, they're potentially can do the same amount of damage to marine environment.
This is probably a reaction to previous policies stating that electric vehicles were going to be mandated to a certain percentage or whatever.
Exactly.
And this is probably just getting ahead of the curve on the boating side, saying, "Hey, you're not going to do that with boats."
Right. No, that's exactly it. And I think that's the purpose. But of course, some of the environmental organizations in Florida have already come out against this, and that's they're saying.
I have
this
to have
is
my diesel, man.
Yeah. They're saying no. Everything. If we
have
want
a diesel out on their little boat,
we want everything electric, but they're saying that the gas powered or fuel powered, boats are doing more damage. Which if there's a leak, okay.
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Well,
what is the penalty? What is the penalties if you have an accidental fuel leak and the Coast Guard catches you, Mike?
It's like pretty serious, I would say.
I mean, you're responsible for the
You're
cleanup.
responsible for cleaning it up. And when they have an oil spill, they have to put out the booms and all that stuff. And that's in the
All that.
ocean.
Yeah, we've had a couple of boats here that in this marina that had some issues like that, and the boat owner is responsible for.
How big is Lake Mary up there? Well, Mary allows all boats, right?
You mean
Mary,
St. John's
Mary.
River?
Lake Mary, Sanford, the lake up there that he's at?
Lake Monroe?
Yeah.
That's Lake Monroe.
Are there any?
Lake Monroe is really just part of the St. Johns River.
Okay. So, I mean, are there any areas or any lakes out there that are like, they don't belong to someone privately, but they're lakes that you can't have, they're restricted on what boats you can use?
Yeah, there's a lake in Winter Park that only allows electric boats.
Right.
It's a small lake. I don't know why anybody would take a gas powered boat there. I mean, if you ramp up the speed, you're going to hit the other shore in about 24 seconds. So I can see where some of these really small neighborhood lakes would be electric only.
Unless you had like a little John boat with a 2-horsepower putt-putt engine on there.
Right. But so I mean, if it opens up a lake like that to someone with a John boat okay, great. Who cares? They're not going to cause any more damage to the environment than anybody else.
Yeah, but they're thinking more on a bigger scale, I would imagine, in this case.
I don't know.
Or you can't outlaw. You can't just outlaw them, I guess, is what it's saying. I don't know. We'll see how this progresses. That's the only headwind I see on this, on this Boater Freedom Act online is just that argument about, the fuel sources and doing that from some environmental groups. So we'll monitor it. I mean, like I said, the first half of it seems kind of commonsensical, I think, to most people, and they, they don't need Florida Wildlife Commission to board unnecessarily without probable cause. Should have probable cause. Keeps them focused on problem boaters, which is a problem not just for Florida Wildlife Commission, but for all boaters, because it gives us a black eye. So focus on those guys. Get the problem ones out of the way and address the problem. So we'll see how this, percolates through the legislature in Florida, and maybe other states will follow suit. We'll see. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up for this week, though. Whether it is sail or motor,
life is better as a boater.
Safe boating, everyone.
Barnacle-bitten swab.
World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.